Hi guys, Ashley here. Welcome to another episode of Ashley's Digital China. Today we're talking about IP or intellectual property. Specifically, we're going to talk about how to successfully monetize and market IPs for brands in China. Indeed, in the past few years, both domestic and international brands successfully collaborated with IPs and even created their own IPs in order to appeal to the younger generation better. So what is IP? You might already be familiar with the concept of IPs if you're a member of any fandom such as Star Wars, Star Trek, Arianators, K-pop groups or boy bands. You are already within the influence of its IP. Simply put, IP or intellectual properties are creations of the mind. They can be anything from designs, symbols, taglines, games, movies, and more that are protected by the law. In one way, it is very straightforward. Like if you like Game of Thrones, then you're looking at an IP by HBO Studios. Or even those golden archers on McDonald's are also an example of an IP. You might even be patronizing a specific IP at the moment. If you have merch from your favorite brand, like a hat or a mug from Disneyland or light stick from Blackpink's concert, then you are already enjoying IPs. Where it gets a bit more complicated is when we see brands starting to use and invest in IPs, often in the form of a cartoon character, at least in China, to relate to its audience and better develop a new line of business. Indeed, anyone can practically become an IP creator, a brand or an individual or a group of artists, and they can monetize their creations. And today, IP has become more important, especially with the rise of digitalization. It made it easier for creations of the mind to spread across the globe through the internet, of course. IPs work because it involves sets of processes and specific communications for society in general. It is the topic people follow, right? You don't get a working or profitable IP unless the public notices it and connects with it at a different level. However, if you do get it right, you are up for a profitable market. In China, consumers are renewing the IP administration to raise it to global standards. So not only do we have the cheap imitation copies here, but China is quickly becoming an IP marketing powerhouse where many local influential IPs such as Queen of Blind Box's Molly, a Pop Mart's doll with big blue eyes, or Lina Bell, Shanghai Disneyland's Pink Fox plush toy, are taking Chinese Gen Zs by storm. In fact, the Chinese IP landscape is dominated by a huge volume of patent applications each year. Europe registers only around 350,000 IPs per year, but China exceeds the 1 million mark, and it is not stopping anytime soon. China is using the power of IP and its unique market position to drive even more sales. Let's look at how China does it. There are 4 dimensions of IPs: content value, personalization, influence, and subculture. You need all of these 4 dimensions for a successful IP. Content value means that your IP must be positive and in line with current social values. Yes, you will obviously find it much easier when your IP resonates with the values of the present majority. For example, it is easier to market cute objects in Japan because they value the concept of kawaii. Personalization, number 2, means that your IP positioning and character must be clear and personalized to the target audience you're after. A strong sense of charisma is important in this point as well. Number 3, influence. This just means that your impact can be monetized because your fans are willing to pay for it. Lastly, subculture is not something you create, but something your fans make for you. This is a marker of a successful IP, since people find it fit to imitate and create a culture around it. How does Chinese IP work? Chinese IP market is very profitable. According to Guosen Securities Economic Research Institute, the size of China's IP industry will grow to 168.6 billion yuan by 2024. There are 3 major ways that IP works in China. Firstly, through nostalgia. Yes, the IP is literally your memories of the days long gone. Number 2, through exciting IP co-branding. And number 3, IP's creation by the brands themselves. First, nostalgia. It is an important marketing tool in China today. Everything familiar to you, from childhood cartoons, video games, and even perfume, can be utilized as an IP to boost sales and affiliation with the brand or product. Successful marketers can use nostalgia or your tie to whatever is familiar to their target audience and entice them to buy their products. Nostalgic IP is very successful in the country, and the perfume industry is just one example of it. In the past few decades, China has had slim to none market prospects when it comes to Chinese fragrance companies. However, Chinese perfume retailer Scent Library entered the IP game in 2017 with their iconic Liang Bai Kai Cool White Open during Tmall's Singles Day sale. This particular scent is rooted in Chinese nostalgia, which prompted Scent Library to create scents around this theme. In 2018, Scent Library registered sales of 400,000 units of perfume that has a Chinese nostalgia IP in them. Brands can leverage nostalgic IP in 4 ways: through smell, sound, sight, or feeling even. For example, if brands are promoting something homemade, one way to do it through IP is to evoke the feeling of being home. These may include techniques such as homemade food smells, the sounds of your mom cleaning, images of your family, or the feeling of relaxation on the sofa back home. Homemade food smells can include those that evoke sense of home, such as delicious fried pork or braised beef or asmantus or that chicken soup or the Jingfeng laundry detergent that is very common among Chinese households. Another nostalgic IP for sounds may include generic mothering statements or your mom calling you that it's time for dinner. It can also include the introduction of your favorite TV series or even a video game. Effective IP nostalgic images can be your plants from childhood, surroundings, comics, or anime posters. And lastly, feelings can also be nostalgic IP, where ads can make you remember how it is to feel comfortable in your bed, the warm feeling you have when you are with friends and family, or simply being on your sofa again. One effective nostalgic IP use case in China in the past few years is to recall the nostalgia of school days. Brands utilize uniform photos, for example, to evoke the sense of primary or secondary school memories among people. Many Chinese are willing to pay for school uniform photo shoots and relive those memories even. On Xiaohongshu, this IP is quite popular too. There are over 10,000 search results for uniform photos, and even KOLs are joining in. For instance, Becky Lee used uniforms in her WeChat article. Well, in her case, it was a side-stripped pants that is reminiscent of the uniform pants. Uniform-inspired fashion suddenly became trendy, and it hit the emotional chord with the younger generation. Secondly, IP co-branding is another way to use your IP in China. Known international brands, for example, such as Marvel or League of Legends, already wield such influence that any brand that co-brands with them is almost assured of successful sales, at least for that line. An example of effective collaboration between brands is, for instance, White Rabbit, who has not loved the milky taste of iconic Chinese White Rabbit's candy. White Rabbit partnered with Maxim, a Shanghai-based cosmetics company, to produce the milk candy flavored lip balm. It sold out within seconds on Tmall during September 2020. Chinese millennials will definitely recall using Hero ink during their school days. In 2019, the brand partnered with domestic alcopop brand called Rio to roll out a drink with Hero Ink's packaging. This introduced curiosity with Ria's new flavors and stimulated appreciation for hero ink at the same time. Merchants can sell products or wearables that contain the logo of these successful IPs, and people are much more willing to buy them as long as it is officially related to the IP they love. Aside from lip balms, White Rabbit also partnered with Scent Library to create a limited edition perfume for their brand. The bottle proudly displayed White Rabbit logo on it, and within 10 seconds, 14,000 bottles were sold on Tmall. So how to find IPs to collaborate with? There are many options and agencies that can help, and since recently even Chinese tech giants are in the game. Alifish is an IP trading and entertainment arm of Alibaba. It is a collaborative platform between copyright owners, the IP side, and Ali merchants, the brand and producer side. It serves as a one-stop IP licensing solution for IPs and merchants where they could match with their ideal partners. Using big data resources and capabilities, Alifish has 7 copyright categories for merchants. These include movies, dramas, art, animation, games, celebrities, and sports/education. Businesses who want to browse available IPs and their copyright owners can utilize these filters so they can find their ideal partner. So we're down with nostalgia IP, collaborating with somebody else's IPs, and finally we're down to number 3. Brands can develop their own IPs, promote them, and make them into brand-specific spokespeople for a niche audience, for example, and then expand its influence to a more generic and general public. Just like Lina Bell, for example, it is a smart pink fox in the Duffy and Friends toy line, introduced in 2021 at Shanghai Disneyland. She is cute, she is unique, she's got a relatable character, and she doesn't have a cartoon or a set biography or a story, so every one of her fans can make up their own story. Lina Bell merchandise is consistently sold out in Shanghai Disneyland and later resold on some platforms for up to 10 times the original price. Lina Bell also helps drive visits to Shanghai Disneyland, of course. Some netizens say that if Lina Bell were to start a live streaming show, she could sell anything. Here's another example from Chinese snacks brand called Three Squirrels. How did Three Squirrels manage to position itself not only as a brand but also as a powerful domestic IP? Well, they used 4-step process: positioning, personality, operations, and derivation. First, in 2012, when the Three Squirrels brand was born, the founder already wanted to create a big and efficient brand. So he had a vision. He wanted to increase the apparent nutritional value of the nuts that they were selling. So healthy and naturalness and freshness were at the core of what they were building. And these concepts consequently became a lot more popular in China than when they started in 2012. So riding a wave as well. Number 2, Three Squirrels adopted a distinct personality of being cute, friendly, approachable, and attentive. This increased brand familiarity with their target audience. Three Squirrels even had their customer service representatives communicate in a tiny little squirrel voice to sell their brand's personality. This branding also helped highlight the idea that their products are all natural, fresh, but also fun. Third, Three Squirrels spent no effort in maintaining and fortifying its brand image. They used the ideas from positioning and personality, and they use these ideas in daily operations, from ensuring that their packaging is cute and reflect natural aspects that they are going for, to all levels of marketing and sales, and product development, of course. And lastly, derivation. The Three Squirrels not only had physical stores where people could step into a place that was filled with brand's voice and culture, but they also spent millions of dollars just to make a big animation movie for their brand, to cement their IP in the minds of people. This movie and this move effectively made their presence known to the public and increased general awareness and sentiment around their brand. IP marketing is very popular in China today, but how does it compare to other forms of marketing? Net fame or internet fame may be synonymous at first glance with IP, but they are actually quite different. Net fame is a term for temporary fame that may or may not result in lasting recognition of a name or a brand or an image. In short, net fame is trendy and it's not expected to always last. Otherwise known as 15 minutes of fame, some examples of fads include TikTok dances. Most of them only trend for about 1 or 2 months. The Squid Game Dalgona Candy Challenge, or those entertaining bingo template memes that flooded Twitter not so long ago. On the other hand, IP is long-term, especially when adopted by the public. This is because they have more organic patrons and can only increase over time if everything goes well, of course, and there's no PR crisis on the horizon. An example of this is a cringy mustache from 2012, if you remember, that appeared on everything from bags to t-shirts to notebooks. Compare this momentary embarrassment of a trend to the franchise that ended in 2011, Harry Potter. Even though the last move was released that year, the effect still reverberates today, and people still talk about the wizarding world and the boy who lived. Digital e-commerce and IP also benefit from each other, of course. IPs can amplify the already considerable audience that digital e-commerce has covered, while many purchase IPs related products online. Gucci's special Dudarenok collection for the Chinese Lunar New Year effectively contributed to the 2021 Tmall evaluation, as it concluded that Tmall apparel IP co-branded models exceeded 60% and 10 million in sales. Uniqlo also released in its Tmall flagship store a collaboration with KAWS, a hip brand known for street graffiti design. Within 3 seconds, all of the collection merch with KAWS was sold out and generated higher levels of attention for Uniqlo's other items as well. IPs also have a wider and broader consumer base that brands can tap into. IPs are generally easier to understand and digest versus traditional marketing from brands. If you are a foreign brand looking to localize your operations in China, attaching yourself to a domestic IP such as known local game, subculture, literature would be good. With IP, you already have an inbuilt consumer base that would be more inclined to buy or try out your products. An example could be merch with logos or designs from a popular IP. In China we have Journey to the West, for instance, right? Or in the West we have Police Story or Spirited Away. Miniso is a Japanese brand, but it is manufactured in China. This brand has made partnerships with several well-known IPs such as Marvel, Avengers merchandise, and cartoon We Bare Bears. Miniso sells power banks, cutlery, headphones, chargers, humidifiers with designs coming from these IP, and people love them. They are, in fact, as a company, an IP merchandising business. So because of all the reasons above, you right now understand the importance of IP. It is generally easier to build a brand following the company and having its own IP, because collaborating with other IPs can be expensive. Just driving on nostalgia can be tricky, but having your own IP, obviously it's a long-term strategy, but it can pay back big. Be careful, by the way, because misunderstanding the subculture, meanings, and user scenarios can often cause negative effects on the brand. For instance, there was a time when British IP Peppa the Pig was considered a rebel, and a lot of Chinese youngsters used its stickers and even tattooed her image on their body to send the message: be impossible, be a rebel, and have it your way. So if a brand decided to collaborate with Peppa the Pig back then, you need to know whether you're trying to actually connect with cartoon-loving general public and kids, and do you understand that the message that Peppa the Pig brings to the youngsters is actually all about rebellion and being different. So importance of IP in China is already well understood. Now, when it comes to marketing, why is IP so important in Chinese marketing? Because of Gen Zs. Yes, they love it and they demand more of it. They're generally very susceptible to IP marketing. They have enough life experience to be attracted to nostalgic IP, and at the same time they patronize IP co-branding and collaborations that produce merchandise on fandoms that they like. Gen Z's consuming power also makes IP marketing really lucrative and effective way to break into a demographic that is saturated with ads from sun up to sundown, because Gen Z already likes the aspects of the merchandise connected with the IP. IP provides a permanent consumer entrance for a company, since IP is an already established concept in the market. In line with this, IPs offer continuous market traffic for brands. The most effective IPs for those aged 6 to 15 are cartoons such as Doraemon or Pikachu. Musical IPs are more effective for those teenagers and early adults from 12 to 22 years old, and they may include C-pop superstars like Jackson Wang or Lexi Liu and many others. Generally, IP works for everyone as long as this person has an interest in a certain area. However, as nostalgic IP is one of the most sought after forms of IP in China today, it works best with young adults. As for trendy IPs or those consumed by the general public through media such as big brands Marvel, Harry Potter, Transformers, fandoms play a big role in continuing the fascination. Woohoo! Now you know much more about IP marketing in China. Do reach out if you need any help developing or implementing your China digital strategy related to IP or any other aspect. I'd be very happy to put you in touch with my team. Meanwhile, this is it for today. Stay tuned for the next episode of Ashley's Digital China coming up soon. And remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also check out my LinkedIn profile under Ashley Dudarenok on LinkedIn for your daily dose of China digital insights. And let me know your thoughts on the power and opportunities of IPs in the comments below. And as always, have a great week, guys. I'll see you soon. Let's go get them.